Well, we have finally made episode 35, Chris. And
Yes.
this has not been without its own particular set of dramas. You
No,
unfortunately have been off for a couple of weeks with the spicy cough.
I
And
did have.
then
Yep.
we did record an episode and we came
It
back and did it again.
didn't go very well. Something was wrong with the lag, and we had to edit it 4 times. I had my child walk in the room when I've asked him not to a couple of times. So I thought, let's just do it again.
Let's just do it
Let's just
again.
do it again.
I think my work rang up a couple of times as
Yeah,
well.
that's
So
right.
let's do it again.
Let's just do it again. It's a lot easier. So yeah, but I did have COVID. So yeah, thanks for everyone who messaged me about that when they found out. But
Oh, you're still a bit
yes,
croaky there. I sound it, but the sounds of it still got a bit of a croak in your throat.
a little bit of a cough, but the COVID itself is gone, and I'm fine pretty much. All good. All good.
That's that's good. That's good to hear. Well, episode 35 the Music Bar Podcast. Like, subscribe, hit the alert button too, so you know we're going to be here, because we normally are out a bit earlier, but once again we had some issues, so hopefully we'll get this out real soon for you. Look, the first thing I want to touch on, Chris, is just look, it's been a while, it's a little while ago, but I want to say valet RIP to Andy Fletcher from Depeche Mode. I did a get on it back last year, I think, when we first started doing them, and one of the first ones I did was Violator by Depeche Mode. I think it's one of the best albums of the I wouldn't say synth pop, synth rock, I would call Depeche Mode. And Andy Fletcher was the brains behind the band, more or less. I mean, the creative side of things, you know, he was there with but you normally sort of talk about people like Dave Gahan, the singer, you know, flashy singer, or Martin Gore, the guitarist. And but Andy Fletcher was the quiet guy playing the keyboards, but he was also the driving force behind the band. He was the one who, in his own words, kept the great corporation of Depeche Mode going. You think about it, they've been around for 40 years.
Oh, it's crazy,
you know?
isn't it?
Yeah, you know, well, I mean, that's U2 sort of numbers, but we don't sort of think of Depeche Mode in that kind of thing. And they've had, I mean, apart from members leave, they never replaced anybody.
No.
And the three guys that were part of it were from the get-go. And that takes a lot to keep something like that going, especially when your lead singer was going through a heroin addiction at a time. So the quiet guy behind the band that kept it going, you know, and I think there's a lot to be said for those people in rock bands, you know, the unheralded one, the one who, and he's happy to do it. He didn't want to be the big star. And even when they had big management, Andy kept his hands in everything. He knew what was going on financially. He knew what was happening with every business decision with Depeche Mode. And you will miss someone like that. You know, you will really miss someone like that. And so, you know, and even with all the, and I heard he was a Christian too, and not born again, you know, he was from his early days.
Oh, really? There you go.
Yeah, I think he kept that going all the way through his tenure with the band. And as I said before, with all the craziness, Andy was the rock solid guy. And look, I mean, I think with REM, it was their drummer, Bill Berry. He was that guy that, you know, kept the band together and was the driving force of the band. Because I just always felt, I'm a big REM fan, but when Bill Berry left the band, they were never the same. They were never the same. The quality output wasn't great. They were no longer this great legendary band. They were just an okay alternative rock band. And that was a shame, but it was, you know, and I think, you know, Andy Fletcher, you know, whether the remaining two continue on is another thing. But yeah, RIP, Andy Fletcher, Depeche Mode.
Yeah, fair enough. And absolutely, for sure. And while you're talking about RIP, let's just quickly touch on the fact that Foo Fighters have now come out and mentioned the Taylor Hawkins tribute shows. They're doing two, one on September 3rd in London at Wembley Stadium, which is where I saw them, and September 27th at Los Angeles. So I think it's really good that they're doing that so soon. I think you mentioned a while back that Linkin Park did it really quickly, but I am still kind of like hoping that Van Halen do something down the track. But yeah, I think it's really good they jumped into it.
Yeah, look, this Van Halen thing, you know, we've gone on about it, and they want to do a tour. I think a show would have been fine, but then, you know, you got David Lee Roth and Sammy Hagar and possibly even Gary Sharon who want to be involved. I don't know, man, if that's going to happen. Linkin Park did it really well. They did it not long after, different singers, that sort of thing. I think. And
that was only a once-off, wasn't it?
It was a one-off.
Yeah, yeah.
And as you know, and that's what you need. Whereas I think Van Halen are talking tours, and
who knows?
Who knows what's going on with that.
But yeah, I think it's really good they go into Taylor Hawkins quickly.
Yeah, that's really good. I think gives the fans
something.
that something. I think you're right, Chris. Yeah, it does. I think that's why Linkin Park did it with Chester so quickly too. It was to give the fans that moment to kind of grieve and all that sort of stuff, and and remember to share and remember and mourn, because we all might sit there and go, oh, they're just rock stars, but if they were just rock stars or anything, we wouldn't be doing a podcast.
That's right.
And no one else would be doing music podcasts, and there wouldn't be rock and roll, there wouldn't be radio or books written about it or anything like that.
That's right.
They're larger than life. They're an extension of ourselves in a way, a wish fulfillment, if you must, with all these sorts of guys. And another RIP, Alec John Such, the original bass player from Bon Jovi, died as well at age 70. He was a bit of 70, Eddie Fletcher was only 60, so too young, way, 50.
Alex left the band a long time ago, didn't he?
Yeah, he left in just after the Keep the Faith album in 91. So he left in that period between. I got the feeling he was kind of kicked out.
Booted,
yeah. Jon Bon Jovi said in that doco, When We Were Beautiful, he said, I think is when he sort of took more control of the band, when he said, I'm not going to be told by the bass player's wife when we can and cannot tour.
Yeah.
And I thought, ooh. But he was about 10 years older than the other guys, and he said later in life, he said it was getting too much. And really and honestly, Bon Jovi were a hard touring band, constant, and still are to a point. We'll get into them in a sec. Got something I want to talk about, and I think you and I want to talk about Bon Jovi. But look, apart from all this, some great news that made me really happy. Spinal Tap 2.
How good is that?
I know. I mean, Spinal Tap is not just like this iconic comedy. It's just a great music film. We did talk about music movies, and Spinal Tap. Spinal Tap was one of them. But when I heard they were doing the sequel, and I think they've already started filming.
Yeah.
And there's sort of how would I put it? I'm not always keen on going back to the well to do the sequel unless you got something to say. Because gosh, it's nearly 40 years on. But hey, look, Top Gun's doing it. It's nearly 40 years on, and
36 years later, right?
It's killing it, So
have you seen Top Gun yet? Have you seen it?
Yeah. I liked it enough. I'm not raving about it like some people are. I don't think it's the greatest thing since it's not without its faults. Put it that way.
I think it'll be I haven't seen it yet. I will go see it at the cinema, I believe, and I think it's just going to be a great action movie to watch.
Look, it's worth seeing, and it's well done, it's well made, and all that sort of stuff. So but I'm not raving and saying it's the best movie around or best cinematic triumph. I've seen some of the adverts saying, I'm thinking, all right, okay, you clearly wanted to get your review on the ads, didn't you?
Speaking of Spinal Tap, have you seen the trailers for David Bowie and Elvis yet?
Look, I saw the trailer for the Bowie documentary, Moon Age Daydream. I'm really looking forward to that. That looks really quite good. Thing is with Bowie, because David Bowie never wanted a biopic made of him in any way whatsoever. There was a movie that came out a little while ago called Stardust, which is about Bowie's tour of America, where he kind of went, this is when he sort of transitioned from being this singer-songwriter with a bit of an eclectic sort of edge to Ziggy Stardust. And his family have retained that idea. They're not letting his music being used in a biopic. So there was no Bowie music. This is a movie about David Bowie.
With no music from him. No
Bowie music. Yeah. So
that's crazy.
It is crazy, but it's like people still want to make these things, and I think with the documentary, it will use Bowie's music because it will use the context in which it is deserved. I think people feel that and I understand with Bowie, with his music being used, I just get a feeling that it would be, they've never liked it because they probably just didn't like the straight up storytelling of a biopic. They probably didn't feel that his life and music didn't warrant that. There was so much going on with Bowie, and maybe too, it demystifies in a way what is definitely going on. But Elvis, well, that looks like a big flashy Baz Luhrmann movie. What will they say about Elvis that we have not heard or know about before? The Elvis and Priscilla scenes will be a bit problematic for me and for most other people, I suppose. I'm sure the film is fine. I mean, Baz Luhrmann is a good filmmaker. I'm just not a fan of his work particularly. I find his whole flashy, it's all flash and no substance with Luhrmann. But it's shot here on the Gold Coast. You and I probably know half the cast. I think I'm one of the only people on the Gold Coast with an agent who didn't get a role in the movie. So if I had a role in it, honestly, everyone else I knew seemed to get a role on Elvis except me. If I was in it, I'd probably rush out to see it and go, there I am.
Yeah.
But
I did hear they played it, had a 12. I thought it was funny when we recorded the other day, which we're not using, obviously. I said to you they had a 12-minute standing ovation at Cannes Film Festival, and then you said,
well, they've been sitting on their ass watching movies all day. They're probably glad to stand up.
So it probably wasn't, that's the greatest movie. It's just like, let's just stand up and pretend. Thank goodness.
Oh, my butt's sore.
Stretch our legs.
Oh, what it's like? You've seen a movie, you get up, jeez. Get the blood back to my hands.
Imagine that. That's funny. I'll tell you, I saw the trailer for both of them too, but I did think that the guy who played Elvis was a pretty good fit for a young Elvis.
Honestly, just now, I just saw some footage on Facebook that Baz Luhrmann posted of Austin Butler.
Yeah.
And apparently he sang all the early Elvis stuff.
Oh, wow.
The later Elvis stuff, they're using tracks. And they showed a lens test of Austin Butler with the band doing That's All Right, Mama. And really good. He is really good. Yeah, he's good. Really doing it. Good. Yeah, it's good. Very good.
Staying on movies, John Carpenter. You messaged me the other day about John Carpenter and tagged me in it. Explain who John Carpenter is, and then what the article was about for us, please.
Oh, right. Yeah. This one. So John Carpenter is great filmmaker. Made the original Halloween, which is the film from '78, which is a film that really started the horror slasher genre that never kind of existed before. He also did the music for his movies too. He made The Thing, which is one of my all-time favorite movies. He did Escape from New York, Big Trouble in Little China, The Fog, They Live, a heap of other really cool films. As he went on, his movies got less and less cool. Well, that's a shame. And he got less and less interested in making movies, but he still makes music for films. He rejigged his keyboard intro for the new Halloween movies. The theme for Stranger Things is definitely influenced by John Carpenter's Halloween theme. I think Trent Reznor even did a version of Halloween. Him and Atticus did a version of the Halloween theme. It's pretty cool too. Check it out. Yep. Now he has said that he thinks Load and Reload from Metallica are two amazing records. Now this I thought was interesting. Apart from the fact that it's John Carpenter, but also the fact that not many people do go back and say, I mean, everyone's got fans of their own stuff, but not many people do go back and say, Load and Reload are amazing records. No. They generally go back, you got to have it's got to be Master of Puppets. That's the best one. I personally like Hardwired. I'll shout it till the end of the world that I thought Hardwired was fantastic.
Yeah,
and
agreed.
I can listen to that from start to finish. Load and Reload, look, they're both fine. Some great songs on Load, especially. I mean, you and I are particular fans. Hero of the Day is probably one of my favorite Metallica songs.
Yeah,
Until It Sleeps, I like. What's that one?
The Outlaw Torn.
Outlaw Torn's a terrific song. I was singing that around the house for the last
Bleeding
few
Me.
days. Bleeding Me is a terrific song. I think Load suffers from the idea of it's too damn long. They made a point of being how long was it? 80 minutes? The length
an
of the
hour
CD.
and 19 minutes. So 80 minutes.
It's 80 minutes. 70. Why? Why do you need? Some of the best albums. Van Halen 1, 35 minutes, start to finish. The Ramones, 35 minutes. Hey,
Mesmerized.
Yes, you didn't get on
it
the
other day. 36 minutes.
Yeah. It doesn't need to be an hour and 20 minutes, man.
Yeah, no.
It really doesn't.
I like it. I like the album. I'm happy it's long because I love the music and I love it, but I can understand what you're saying. I still think, I'm not 100% sure, but I still think that Load and Reload would have been written very close to the same time, and they used the songs they didn't use on the first one, made it Reload. It could have come out as a double album. They had a few years in between, but I love it. No, I have no problems with it going for an hour and 90 minutes.
There's only 1 year between Load and Reload. Load came out in 96, Reload came out in 97.
Well, that proves my point even more. It could have been easily the usual illusions of Metallica, but I don't know why they didn't do it, but I love it. I think they're both really good albums. I'm happy they're long, but it's funny how when you talk about Metallica, like you said before, people just don't talk about those albums.
Yeah, exactly.
Not on the tip of their tongue. And for John Carpenter to say they're the best, for his point of view, from a musician, from a movie maker and a composer, it's pretty amazing. It just shows that everyone has different tastes in the field of whatever they do. Like, he likes movies. He can probably understand when he listens to these songs that they're pretty orientated towards movie kind of soundtracks. Just like Michael Kamen did. He loves certain songs and he brought the symphony in and he did what he did.
There's always been this compositional thing to Metallica. We've talked about it before. Cliff Burton brought that to the band. You could hear it in Kirk's solo EP that came out not long ago. You can really hear. It's what I've always liked about Metallica, that they do sound like that. If there was a big screen with the music, that would be their thing. They're not just making heavy metal; they're making these almost symphonic, which metal does. Metal does have this relationship, I think, with classical music in a big way. But every time I hear Metallica, I just hear this big operatic thing. This creation that it's a beginning, middle, and end. There's a beginning, middle, and end to all of Metallica's music. They're not just stuffing around. There's a real point, even though they change riffs 3 or 4 times during certain songs. There's a point to it all, and it's moving along. I bet you they would sit. Well, James would probably argue amongst themselves as to where this song is going, and that doesn't make sense. This doesn't. That works. That doesn't work. This works. That does. I can imagine they wouldn't sit there and go, "Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good. Let's just keep doing that." They obviously have this thing between the two of them where they go, "No, get rid of that. Do this.
Yeah.
No, do that." And they're in sync. Those two, love or hate Lars. Those two are in sync. They are in complete sync with each other, and I don't think they could do it without each other. It's just one.
I totally agree, and I think when you add someone like a producer like Bob Rock, and he was with him for quite a while, he would have been that person who helped find that middle ground sometimes when they couldn't agree. And
that's the producer's job. And you did see the footage where they fought with him openly because he was the one to step into that particular relationship and go, do it this way. And you could see both of them went, "How dare you tell us what to do?" But when they heard the results, they were like,
we understand now. We understand what we're paying Bob Rock for.
Yes, this is what we're paying him to do. The best producers do that. That's what they do. They do that sort of stuff. So sure. I found that interesting. I thought you'd like that one. I found that interesting.
I did. You said before we talked about Bon Jovi briefly. We'll touch on it again, and we've seen a few things happening lately with singers. Like, we all obviously know that Motley Crue's touring with Def Leppard, and we've discussed the Motley Crue, Vince Neil singing ability quite a few times in our podcasts. But we've also mentioned how Def Leppard are touring with them, and I saw the other day Michael Sweet from Striper. He's now admitted that they're tuning down half a step to accommodate his voice.
And that guy had a high-pitched voice.
He had a very high voice. He had a very high voice. So he's obviously realised he can't do that anymore. And Joe Elliott has now come out from Def Leppard. He's now come out and said they've tuned down as well. Now, I watched Def Leppard the other day on YouTube. They played the Whiskey A Go-Go in LA the other day. And then I watched what you said you saw it on Jimmy Kimmel. So I watched the 3 songs, I think it was, on that. And they did a longer set on Jimmy Kimmel. But you could see that it was 3. They picked the 3, but they did do a few more songs.
Oh,
did they? So they just showed 3 over on the show.
Yeah.
I felt when I was watching the Whiskey A Go-Go that concert that Joe's voice, even though he's tuned down, he's still missing quite a bit. Doesn't sound best. So I know you didn't agree. And I think it was the song Rocket. I thought Rocket was really bad.
This is bad. And I listened and went, I quite like it. I think he's doing all right with that one.
So it will be interesting if anyone's watching this and listening to this podcast to go and have a listen to either that one or Whiskey Go-Go or the Jimmy Kimmel, and let me know what you think of his voice, because I think we'll start seeing videos coming through on YouTube soon, because they're going to be playing with Motley Crue soon. They're taking turns headlining. So we'll start seeing all the videos come through and see how they sound. I did think the Jimmy Kimmel one was slightly better than the Whiskey show. But in saying that, Bon Jovi now is also now in that ranks where I feel something's going on with his voice. I've seen some footage of him lately. I saw him sing Wanted Dead or Alive, which has been a classic of their set list for 30, 40 years. And honestly, he sang it so badly, I was like cringing, because I loved seeing them live. My band, when I was younger, used to play Wanted Dead or Alive, and I used to sing that song. And I felt really bad that people are now paying money to go see Bon Jovi sing that way. What did you think of it when you saw it?
Oh, the Bon Jovi one horrified me a bit. I think the first one, because it got viral, was we're fans of Justin Hawkins Rides Again, his fantastic YouTube page, which I put on a cool thing once. I got Chris onto it. If you want, after you watch us first, and then watch Justin Hawkins Rides Again. And Justin, he's done Vince Neil. He looks at these guys. And Justin always tries to find something positive with everybody he sees. There's that classic one of the guy from Puddle of Mud absolutely ruining About a Girl, the Nirvana song. Absolutely ruins it. But Justin was really like, he's probably had a bad day. He's probably, the voice wasn't right. The guy's, it's terrible. But with Bon Jovi, he went, no, something's not right here. This is not right. He's always pushed it to the edge. He was really like, no, someone in Bon Jovi's team should be saying to him, hey, John, we need to work. You need to go to one of these top voice guys, retrain your voice or something, because, but is John not listening to anybody? As I mentioned before, that doco, When We Were Beautiful, you really watch it. It's a really good documentary. If you can get your hands on it, watch it. It's really cool. He comes across as kind of almost like Tony Soprano. It must be like a New Jersey thing. It's like, I'm the boss and what I say goes. There's no one else is the boss. I'm the boss. I mean, Bruce Springsteen's from Jersey too, of course, but it must be a New Jersey thing. That it was real. You could see he was almost like this mafia don in a way, the way he controlled the band and everything like that, because he felt he had to. He had to take charge of the band in all facets. As I said, the driving force. He had to, because I always felt that it was a driving force with him and Richie Sambora together. And when Richie Sambora left, it really became, it was all on his shoulders, and he kind of like took it over more as a business for himself and a session player high. Like Phil X is now part of it as well. So I felt that happened more so when Richard Sambora left, but I think he was also kind of like, it's time for you to leave. Well, what Jon Bon Jovi what Jon Bon Jovi did was he made all the other guys relinquish their share in Bon Jovi to him, and they all became paid members. So
even Richie Sambora?
Yeah, even Richie, and so
Wow.
Dave Bryan and Tico Torres, the drummer, and that's what he did. And you could see it still burned them, but they weren't there. But I think for Richie, it didn't quite work. But there was one, like John said, one of the reasons they made a particular record was to get Richie working again. This is when Richie started becoming an alcoholic and his marriage to Heather Locklear went downhill and everything like that. And John said, I made this particular record just to keep Richie working, just to get him to do something. So, you know, there was obviously something, but yeah, as you said, once Richie left, I think, you know, but by the by, John's clearly, there's something going on with John's voice, you know, like I appreciate that the guys are now singing in a way, because that form, I mean, even Robert Plant did it. He changed his vocal style years ago and no one sort of said anything. But I suppose because the bands that we grew up with, you know, they changed. And as we get older, our voices go deeper. We don't get those high notes if you're a high singer like you used to. But Joe Elliott, Def Leppard were famous for those. Bringing on the Heartbreak, you know, that's right up there, you know. You know, all those songs, Let's Get Rocked, you know, makes me want to scream. And the note he hits on that one, you know, when Let's Get Rocked, he just can't hit those notes the way he used to. Obviously, Vince can still hit the notes. He's just not singing English. He's just not actually singing the lyrics.
He gets the audience to sing most of it.
Yeah, he gets the audience to sing most of it. And when he does, the only time you actually understand him is when he's talking to the audience. He yells out, "Let me see your hands." And you can actually understand him when he says that. But then when he sings, you can't figure out a damn word he's saying.
I know.
So, you know, it's like, the other night, just I was watching the party at the Platinum Party at the Palace, and Rod Stewart came out. And it was a real, like, I mean, dead set, Rod Stewart's in his 70s now. And even then I was like, that guy had one of the greatest blues rock voices. And it was like, oh, Rod. But in saying that, he looked like he was having the best time on stage. And the audience was loving it.
Yeah.
So is it different when you're on TV or when you're in the venue? And if they're just pulling it off and just having a good time, do you care?
Yeah, you know? True. Like if they toured here, I think we've discussed this too. If Def Leppard and Motley Crue toured here with Poison and Joan Jett, it would be a massive, big concert. Obviously, everyone would go to it. They'd sell more than 2 or 3 nights easily in any place they wanted to. But do you want to pay $200-$300 to go listen to Vince Neil sing the way he's been singing in the past? But I'd still probably go because I'd like to see the stage show. I've never seen Def Leppard. I've never seen Poison, and those songs.
I'm a big
Kiss
fan. I'm a big Kiss fan.
Oh,
you know? Paul Stanley just can't sing like he used to, man.
No.
Paul's voice is gone. You know, that's why they're obviously doing this End of the Road tour. Paul just can't sing. And apparently there was word that at the concert in Belgium the other night, Paul mistimed the vocal cue, and people went, "Hey, is he miming?"
Oh, really?
Paul miming now. So,
wow. Did you see the footage of Kirk Hammett the other day? They were playing, and he came out and started playing "Nothing Else Matters," and he stuffed it up. So he just went and lay on the floor on the stage, and he got up, and everyone just laughed, and he apologised and said it was, whatever it was.
Okay. That's all open string. How do you stuff that up?
Or was it not the? Well, yeah,
it was Nothing Else Matters. It was Nothing Else Matters. It's like that.
Yeah. It's very. He's played it that many times.
Yeah, he probably.
But people,
you know what? How many times have you sat and watched a Metallica video and James Hetfield starts singing the wrong words to a song?
Yeah,
and you see Kirk shoots him that look as if to go, James, you started the second verse of Master of Puppets. Not the first. I watched one once when the first verse, and James started singing the second verse, and you see Kirk just like looks at him as if to go, what the hell, you know? So yeah,
but they're all professionals. They do it, and they all make mistakes because they're all human.
They all make mistakes.
I've seen Pink play a few times, and she stuffed her words up all the time, and she'll just laugh it off until she remembers where she is. So, good on them.
Oh, look, there's young Shawn Mendes, the Canadian singer-songwriter.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
There's the heaps of videos. You can look them up on YouTube. There's heaps of videos. Shawn Mendes stuffs the lyrics up. Constantly stuffs the lyrics up to his own songs to the point where he does get the audience to sing back to him just so he can find his place.
Speaking of Kiss, I never knew this, but Bryan Adams wrote a Kiss song called War Machine.
Yes, which was on the Creatures of the Night album. Well, Bryan started out as a songwriter with his songwriting partner, Jim Vallance, and was always Bryan Adams, or words and music and lyrics, Bryan Adams, Jim Vallance on all those records. I don't know if he still works with him now. I mean, I can't say I follow Bryan Adams's career so much.
No, me either.
Yeah, and that was kind of a Gene Simmons theme song at the time, was War Machine. I don't think they do it so much now, but look, Kiss employing outside songwriters at the time, because they were always quite big on their own songwriting. That was sort of one of the things, is they wrote their own songs, like the Beatles.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Wrote self-contained band, wrote their own songs, played their own instruments, sang their songs. That was Kiss followed that template. That's what they wanted to do. So when they started getting outside songwriters, you just sort of tell they're at that they were probably at that point in their career where they were like, I think Creatures of the Night came out in 82. They just brought out The Elder, which was a massive flop. They were probably looking for that. Well, once things like that happen, bands start to second guess.
Mm-hmm.
What did we do wrong? Did we do something wrong? Where we go? Here's the songs I brought for this record. The producer probably sits there and goes, "Oh, well, I've got this song. Do you like this?" And they probably went, "Yeah, we do like that. We can record that." The outside song. I mean, Jon Bon Jovi, they used Desmond Child to make to write "You Give Love a Bad Name" and "Living on a Prayer," because they were looking for that hit. They were looking for that next thing to take them to the next level. Desmond Child did co-write "I Was Made for Loving You," so it wasn't first time they had used that. But sometimes bands do. Aerosmith did it almost as soon as they got a hit with one of the songs with an outside songwriter. They kind of went, we'll do this. We'll bring in outside songwriters to beef up the songs and make them more hit friendly. Because remember when I went and saw Aerosmith in concert, thinking, God, they've got a lot of hits. You don't realize, gosh, Aerosmith, they don't even play an album. They played one or two album tracks from the early albums, but apart from that, it was hit after hit after hit after hit after hit.
Enough.
So yeah.
Let's jump on the cool thing before we finish the episode. But
we got the cool thing already.
We are the cool thing. Got 5 minutes left, man.
Wow. Okay. Well, you do first. You go first.
Okay. So my cool thing is, and you just spoke about him before, his podcast, Justin Hawkins from The Darkness.
Yeah.
I've been listening to his album again, The Darkness, the Permission to Land. And when I first heard it originally, I didn't really like it. It wasn't my cup of tea, but I started listening to it correctly. I started giving it a bit of a chance, and I realized what he was doing with this band. And I love this album. The lyrics are really funny. I have no idea how he can sing some of those words, which are such an easy word to pronounce, but he sings them in such a way that you don't understand what he's singing until you read the lyrics. But honestly, what a great band. What a great singer and musician himself, guitar player as well. And Permission to Land is such a really good album. So have a listen to that when you can. That's my cool thing for the week.
Okay.
And yours.
I'm just going to go backtrack just a tiny bit here. When we tried to record this episode and you mentioned that, in the last couple of days, I've sat and listened to Permission to Land and One Way Ticket to Hell and Back. I was one of I love Justin Hawkins Rides Again. Never gave the band a chance. I heard the Permission to Land when it came out and went, no, it's not my cup of tea. Nah, I was wrong. I was completely wrong.
Oh, really?
The Darkness rule. There's just two crack. Now their first two albums, and they're just crackers right from the word go. One song after the other just completely rocks, and they're really good. And I don't know. Can I change it to agree with you? I'm going to use my cool thing to agree with you about the Darkness, because Permission to Land and One Way Ticket to Hell and Back, and I'm going to listen to the rest of their records, because there's another one called Easter is Cancelled, which I'm going to listen to that. But when you said to me, Love on the Rocks with No Ice, what a great one. There was one song about Make It Out, the song Make It Out.
Oh, just everything about it.
You know, everything about it. There's a real humor to them, but they deliver it with such. They're great musos. Those songs kick. They're only about 2.5 to 3 minutes long, so nothing outstays its welcome in any way. They punch in, punch out. The Darkness know what they're doing. And yes, look, Chris, you know, we both have gone on this journey, and I'm concurring with you. Yes, we're in sync. Cool thing, The Darkness.
The Darkness, cool.
Check them out.
That's it.
Check them out. I'm going to listen to some more Darkness.
Yeah, fair enough. That's it for today, actually. So leave you on that note.
Oh, well, it's a good note to leave on. I like that because Darkness.
And we got through without any edits. No child walking in. And no lag or technical difficulties.
No lag. Oh, how good.
So, yeah.
No tech problems.
But yeah, thank you for watching. Subscribe, like below, tell your friends, tell your enemies. And
tell your enemies especially.
Yeah. See you again soon. See you guys. Bye.